Dummy Switch Pod.
Yes, sir.
Boys are back.
Mhm.
You know, it's a week of momentous occasions. 100th meeting between the Boks and New Zealand. Nyakani's 50th test. The beginning of the URC. And it's also a year since we've been recording the podcast. So it's thank you for all the views. Thanks for all the comments, and keep watching.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, let's talk Boks. I myself, I'm a simple man. I don't have much to say about this one, except for the fact that we basically did nothing wrong except for not use the backline.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but then I can also, I think in terms of the using of the backline, where I felt we actually did get it wrong, is that we kicked too much,
Yes.
in the wrong areas of the field, I think it's well documented, well said even after the game by the pundits that, we build the momentum through our carries, and then once we've got that momentum, we kick the ball away. I think it's something that we've highlighted many a times, not just the Boks, but even some of our franchise teams. Once you've built that momentum, use the ball. You use the ball. I think this is one game where the guys are really kicking themselves. If there was ever a game where outright we were all over New Zealand, I think this was one of those games where we shouldn't have lost. We really shouldn't have lost against New Zealand. A difficult one to accept, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about it. I mean, I think we spoke about it last week when I said, is it the players or is it the coaching? And I asked the question, how short is that leash that the players are on? Are they doing what they've been told, or is it up to them? And I think we got the answer this week that it's just doing what they've been told.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you even heard it with CS saying that he can't really pinpoint where it went wrong. That tells you that they were doing what they were told. And look, to a degree, and I think we said it before, the game plan, there's nothing wrong with the game plan. It's just the execution and the decision making really around the whole game plan, is, yes, we've got the set plan, but then what's the, not even a variation to it, what's the sort of next level to the game plan? And the next level to the game plan is unleashing the backline, and we're not doing that, which is for me, that's more of a concern than the losses, to be honest, is the fact that we're not able to unleash the backline. And for that, I look at my number 10, and I say, look, at the moment, is this the right guy for the task? And I don't think so right now. No.
Interesting you bring that up. I wonder, I mean, teams that you play in, there's always that call, okay, this situation, the ball goes to the back line. Yeah. When is that call for the Boks? Because we don't seem to be seeing it. We don't seem to be seeing like, okay, we've done this, and that. Now it's this way. We're never seeing, okay, now it's backs. We're always saying, okay, we do this, then we kick. So, I mean, it's like, I wonder when those calls are coming in, you call into question the fly half. I don't even call that into question right now. I'm calling into, why have Yanchis on the bench if you don't even use them?
Yes.
If we take away and we separate things and we say, okay, fine, this is your man. Why even have El Yanchis there? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Like you'd think by now he's trusted enough to run the ship. So give him the chance. I think that's all that we're calling for. That's all that we've been screaming for, is give him the chance. At least give him the opportunity to fail if you think he's going to fail, so that it can always
they
be
don't
said
they
that.
don't seem to have a problem doing it with the other, Herschel aunties. They don't seem to have a problem because he has been,
Yeah,
falling short in
yeah,
certain areas, but they seem to be like, okay, well, it is what it is. We'll just go and keep throwing him out there.
yeah. Look, the thing is, for me, is okay. If we're going to stick to this game plan, that's fine. That's well and good. Stick to the strengths, stick to the DNA. But it becomes a problem now when you're sticking to players that are not on form. Yes, some players they get better with more game time, and we've seen with the number of opportunities. The thing is as well is that nobody's got the right to play for South Africa, and when you get that opportunity, you need to take that opportunity and show why you're there. And someone like Herschel Yankees, he hasn't been taking his opportunities really. He's at most he's looked average. He's really looked like it looks like he's regressed from when he first made his debut. For the Boks, he hasn't gotten better. He hasn't added anything else to his game. There's nothing that you can really say that okay, this is what he brings and this is why he keeps on getting a chance. And that's
and the thing is, I don't even blame him, because if you're not getting minutes, how are you supposed to develop your game? How are you supposed to keep on form? So I don't even blame him. Okay, if we get into the game further, moments, Cody Taylor tidying up. Again, I can't really, it's between the locks there. I can't really say, okay, it was so-and-so's fault, so-and-so's fault. Maybe, again, that thing of Faf rushing, it was defensive patterns, things like this happen. So, I mean, there's essentially no one to blame for me for that try. Box hitting back, questionable box kick on the 10 meter line. But it comes off Bridge dropping it, and Nkosi, the rock boy, getting in.
Yeah, he had to put up that rock nation sign. But I think for him it's just reward. Reward for all his chasing. Those kicks, because to take nothing away from from him. In terms of the system and the game plan, he's been doing what's been asked of him. And he's been doing it well in terms of chasing those kicks, even Mapimpi. But, at the same time, we were lucky to even get that try. We must be honest with ourselves. We're really fortunate, but it's in situations like that where that bounce of the ball goes your way. You've got that, like, you have to ride that wave, and we didn't ride it. We didn't. For me, that was a clear sign, where it was like, listen, look, even the bounce of the ball is going our way. This is the chance, for redemption. And for me, I think I've called on it for the past 3 weekends. The killer instinct is not there. Is that Springbok rugby for the longest of times hasn't had that killer instinct where once you've got a team on the ropes, you have to put them away.
Colby's a killer instinct. Colby's a killer instinct, and he's not there.
And he's not there.
He's the cutting edge. He's that guy that has been the one to finish them off, typically. Yeah. So no Colby, no clinicalness. There's that's sort of gone out the window. But I mean, areas where we have improved, I think defense improved massively. Defense at the malls, especially. Competing at the rucks. I mean, how many times in this one were we on our own 5 meter and we managed to get the ball back, even in lineouts? So I mean, that for me was a huge improvement and a huge effort thing. I think Kwagga Smith also added that dimension that we were lacking.
Yeah, no, true. I agree with you there. Definitely improvements. You can't argue against that. There were improvements, but even in those improvements, there's still some inaccuracies, where we gave away cheap penalties at the breakdown. I think I think back to the one with with Mapimpi, where there's a box kick and Dwayne got it, and Mapimpi went straight off his feet. I think for that's a basic mistake, because everybody knows that at the breakdown, the picture that the referee wants to see you on your feet, or if you do go off your feet, that you quickly reload. And I think in that moment he got too comfortable and he didn't reload. And it's not like anybody was actually competing for the ball, but down to the letter of the law, he was sealing and he got blown for that. And then the other one was also, it was a box kick where I think Marks, was advanced ahead of the kicker. I think in the 60-minute mark, somewhere there, where the momentum, I feel like we were just starting to build momentum, and we just kept on releasing the pressure. And effectively, I feel like at the end of the day, it's those unforced or really, technical errors where guys are just making those silly mistakes, giving away those cheap penalties where we lost the game. Because, like you say, defensively we improved. More defense definitely improved.
Scrummaging. I mean, Joe Moody, he couldn't stay off his knees. There was Malherbe was really punishing him, disciplining him.
Yeah, he was.
He
was on his knees so much, I thought he was praying. That's how much he was on his knees. Because and finally he got Pinkford, because if I think back to the World Cup game, he was also a culprit. On his knees, dropping the bind, and we weren't getting reward at scrum time. So it's good to finally see that we are getting rewarded at scrum time. But
it was clear and obvious. There's times where you might not know who's got the ascendancy, you might not know who's the one scrummaging in, that sort of thing. But this was clear and obvious. Koch came on, he finished the job Malherbe started, which was that was good to see. I think the bench as well, they played their part. Van Staden, big runs.
People. Yeah, Van Staden, big runs, and oh, geez, I feel like at the end there,
the infamous last 6 minutes of the game, there's been YouTube clips about it. It's been much discussed. And that's where it comes into the being clinical and my whole thing of letting the back line go. Yeah.
But also, let me throw this one out there. The desire from the backs, because in a situation like that with Marco's turnover, where in that bollocking run that he made from the 22, it's for me, it's a matter of the guys have to be in his ear, to say, give the ball out wide, don't go infield. I think
what I don't blame him for that, because I mean, if you look at it, they were shepherding him that side and trying to push him that side. There was a man, there was an All Black player on that side, so I don't necessarily kill him for that, but it's this, for me, it's the phase off of that where it's like then it's down to 9 and 10.
Yeah, true. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not lambasting Van Staden, for that.
Yeah.
I just really feel the desire from the backs, because the other side of it is the support play wasn't keeping up.
Yes. They carried on running that. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get to, is that there was nobody that was offering themselves, because in that scenario, there's an opportunity to, yes, Marco eventually did set it up. He set up the breakdown. He did all the hard work, but there's an opportunity there where, you feel if your support players are actually coming through and creating and giving him options, that creates doubt to the defense, and probably allowing him to, compose himself and his stability to make a decision, to release the ball. But they weren't there. Then we get the ball back, and we do what we were doing the whole game, in a moment where we should have just held on to the ball and we kick it away. And basically we kicked the game away. That's really, like I said, South Africa's, we've been that team, we've been putting teams on the map, since 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 2015. You know, we've been giving guys the up since 2015 Japan. You know, and that's what I'm bemoaning, is that the lack of ruthlessness. We are top side in Test rugby. New Zealand, they know if there's one team in World Rugby that on any given day can beat them, it's the Springboks. But I don't think we realize the sort of the capability and also what's required, you know, to really to take us to that next level of evolution where you're not ruthlessly put teams away. You know, it was on. It was on.
I wonder if we were behind. I wonder if because they were going for territory. So I wonder if we were behind, would they have made the same call? And the sad thing is, yes, they probably would have made the same call. You know, they wouldn't have even rolled the dice in that kind of situation. So, I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. It's not going to change.
It isn't.
It's not going to change unless it comes from the top. I mean, there's you know, we can talk about players and what have you, but it's not going to change unless it comes from the top. And I mean, it doesn't. If we talk about the next game, it looks like it's not going to change because they've kept the same team. Malherbe's out. They've just brought in Ox and shifted Trevor over one. Van Staden, he's out with injury. So Visser comes in. Visser, hopefully he can bring the same kind of impact.
Yeah, I don't know. not in a bad way. I don't know. I don't know. I would have loved to see. Let's give somebody else a chance. You know, I think Visa has had how many goes? You know, he's had a go in the British and Irish Lions. Okay, different kind of pressure. So, you know, I understand he didn't necessarily showcase his full package, but then he got a shot against Argentina. He didn't really shoot out the lights. He was just solid. You know, for me,
thankfully Dwayne's back. I mean, Dwayne is back in form.
Yeah, he got better. And this game, you know, we saw crucially his influence, you know, and his value to the team. But yeah, you know, I'm just struggling to understand the certain selections. You know, I mean, even if you look at the bench, I think we that's one thing that's bothering us. Is, and I know for me, you know, you've got Herschel Yankees on there. You could easily give Grant Williams a shot. You know, you've got Francis Steyn on there. I didn't see the value that he brought when he came on. You know, I
thought he did. You know, I thought he did okay. I thought he did. There were moments he did have visibility. At least I saw him on the pitch. You know, he did have his moments. So I mean, I'm not gonna necessarily write that one off. I just feel like just give the guys a go. I mean, even if you do have, and I mean, even if you do have those the starting guys on the benches. I mean, it's not like they're not going to play.
You see, that's my thing, is that especially now this last game. You know, had we won this past weekend, I would have been okay with, you know, to say, yeah, let's go again. You know, but let's be honest. You know, you've had guys that have been on tour again. Like I said, you know, it's not a right to play for South Africa, but you have guys that have been on tour who I'm sure are hungry and dying to get onto the pitch, you know, and you don't use them. You know, on attack, we definitely need X factor in the backs. You know, I would have loved to see
that's a combination. It's not an attacking one.
It's not. There's something that's lacking. Look, I wouldn't say necessarily the center combination per se is not an attacking one. I think it all starts with the staleness from 10. You know, it's contagious, man. You know, it's
I'm not even complaining about 10 because I've given up. I've given up. If they were gonna put Yanchis in there by now, they would have put him in. So we can go on about Pollard, but there's essentially no point because he's their son.
True, but fact of the matter, right now he's stale. It's like stale rice cakes. It's not nice to eat stale rice cakes. And that's why even the back line, Dialende, there's some good knee touches there. You see the guys have got their attacking ability, but if they're not getting the confidence from 10. If you look at Pollard, when last, let me ask this question. When last did Pollard take the ball to the line? When last, if you remember when Pollard came onto the scene, I remember the game against the All Blacks, Ellis Park, where, he came through, went through Richie McCaw, 2 tries, I think he scored, but nonetheless, he was taking
You'll only do it when the try line is there. That's the only time you'll see it.
Yeah,
you'll see that dummy and then you'll take it. That's the only time you'll see it.
So that's why I feel like there's, okay, moving away from 10, but in other positions, at 15, we have to see something different, because the fact of the matter is that realistically, is Villarreal going to be there at the 2023 World Cup? I don't think so. So the Southern Hemisphere season is virtually over after this weekend. Then we've got the Northern Hemisphere tour, and after that's done, we're waiting for the next probably June incoming tour, and then the Rugby Championship again, then Northern Hemisphere tour again. Before we know it, 2023 we in the World Cup.
Yeah.
So when are we going to find out? When are we going to find out if a guy like Fassi is ready to play in a big test match? Other than putting him in a big test match against New Zealand. When are we going to find out? Whether or not Roscoe Speckman is good enough. To be a 50-man Bok. Because he's been selected. So when are we going to find that out? When are we going to find out our depth in the forward pack? I'm not talking about the guys that have been making the match day 23. I'm talking about the guys that have been sitting on the fringes. We're not really going to find out, whether or not we do have the quality depth that we think we have. That's my question, because we're going to run out of time. And, 2 years on, we're going to be still playing the same kind of rugby with no evolution, and we'll be found wanting.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping next tour there's some changes, and that same world, we keep the trophy, but we must leave some of those players at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because not everyone, you can't, what are we doing here? Not everyone can continue.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk URC? New tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, coming in, there wasn't much optimism in terms of South African teams. I saw guys saying gonna lose 4 out of 4. Lions early on proving that wrong. Competition favorites the Lions. Well, definitely in the first half. I mean, second half far from it.
Yeah, look, I think thank you to the Lions. I don't usually thank the other teams, but thank you to the Lions for at least salvaging some sort of pride for us, as a nation, because we've had 2 tough weekends where we've lost against Australia, then the New Zealand game, but the Lions, look, they did well to hold on and win that game. One thing that we've come to know, and we sort of expected, that the Northern Hemisphere is a different beast, because that's like, it's almost like it's Champions League of rugby, because those teams have got players from everywhere in the world, and they're all real professional setups. And
but some of those guys, they hadn't seen South Africans like this.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen South Africans like this, especially. I mean, that Lions game, the zebra players, the physicality, they struggled with physicality. Yaku Kriel was having his way. Fasaki was having a field day. I mean, Ivio Falyun was looking like a Rolls Royce of a fullback there. there's certain guys, I'm talking about the box making guys look good. There were moments here where you think this was a box team from the Lions. Just general overall comments. I think Similani was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's too early to say the Jacques Ferry's influence. Other than
But I
that,
think
I mean,
he'll definitely have an influence. Joffrey, I think he'll definitely have an influence on Similani, and I can't wait to see how his game is going to evolve.
Yeah, I think where the Lions fell short for me on this one is when they took Yaku Creel off and they put Sangweni on. Again, that thing of, Sangweni being a 7 and then you take off your 6 and there just wasn't enough work on the ground. But alas, that line problem continues. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, other games, I don't know if you want to get into your boys next.
Well, I think before we even get into my boys, this Stormers game.
Oh yes.
Stormers basically pulled a box. Maybe they were watching the rugby championship in the morning and thought, no, we will do the same. We'll also just give the game to them, because that's what they did. I watched a bit of it, most of that game, and they were playing well.
Rickus Pretorius looked like he was again a situation where they were making him look like,
Yeah, but I think he's showing his qualities, abilities. He looks like he's getting better. He's one of those players that, for me, for the Stormers, he remains consistent. But where we're going wrong is that killer instinct. I was happy to see Mani Lebok at 10. Not long may that continue. We spoke about it. The nice thing about this one, what I enjoyed, is that we called it before the transfer happened to say, look, if I was Mani Lebok, I'd be looking to go, somewhere else, and maybe Cape Town, and I guess maybe John Dobson maybe listens to us, and he said, no, that's a good call, and he got him in. And I think he's good. He'll be good for that team in terms of the attacking weapons that they have with Geland, and Sergio Peterson as well, and the options that they have in the midfield, big ball, strong ball carriers, guys that, because Pretorius has got good feet as well, good hands, can get that ball out. So yes, unlucky for the Stormers, but they'll be kicking themselves because they let that one go, and then if we talk about
second halves in Italy, I don't know what's going on.
There's something that's, there's too much pizza, maybe,
It's the travel. Know. Maybe it's the weather. Cash said it feels like Nelspruit. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, so, look, we'll see what happens. Then the Bulls game, that one was a bit.
That one, it was a bit of a rugby lesson. I think I think in both, in the Sharks game and in the Bulls game, I think they showed use all 15 men. Once they got that ball moving, it is difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I think the key thing is I think if we just touching on the Bulls game, is the front row of the Bulls is sort of now being found out, because when looking at the number of penalties, scrum penalties that were being given away by Mornay Smith. Look, the one thing we know for sure is the Northern Hemisphere teams, the set piece is important. We've said it. We've said it. And, scrum time, that's becomes ultra important, because if you give away a penalty there, that's a release. And that's where, a team like Leinster were able to put pressure on them. And Leinster's a quality side, but at the same time, I think the Bulls, in a way, also missed an opportunity to really, for goodness sake, they're supposed to be our best franchise, right? So
yeah, I'm just hoping that this isn't. I'm hoping it isn't sort of a mental block,
Yes,
because of what happened. Because of what happened in the final, you don't want this to become a feature of that team where you're like, the Bulls when they go overseas. You don't want it to become one of those things. So hopefully on tour they can pick up a win, because I think if they don't, that's sort of gonna be carrying them, carried around with them.
Yeah, and the thing is, even watching the Sharks game as well, for a period there, I thought to myself, listen, the Sharks actually have an opportunity. If you're looking at the first try that Munster scored, it was basically off a mistake from the Sharks, where the better option would have been to hold on to the ball and continue building pressure with ball in hand, as opposed to forcing a 50-50. And then the reaction time just wasn't there from the Sharks players, and from there it started becoming difficult for them to get back into that game. But the common theme for me, especially if we're talking about Bulls and Sharks, our two best teams, is that we failed to get dominance through the pack, from our carry perspective. And the other thing is in disrupting the opposition's ball. I think those are key areas. I mean, if you talk about the Bulls, Marcel Coetzee, he was missing, and you would have thought that he would have been front and center to say, no, I've been here before. This is how you do it when we're here. This is how we get a win. You feel that a guy like that he's the captain. He really should be leading from the front, especially on the overseas leg of this competition. Then equally with the Sharks, I think you can see that inexperience. Gebran Grobler, he was doing well. You can see there's it's not all doom and gloom, because there are positives.
He goes back at his old place.
Yeah, there were positives, yes, but there's a long way to go before we can really find out whether or not our franchises have the correct structures in place. I think that's what it comes down to. I think the level of professionalism in the North, it's night and day. If we're looking at it, compare our franchises to what they've got that side. Yes, okay, the money and all of that stuff. That's
and I think they don't cut corners. I think we cut corners. I don't think our coaching is at a level that it should be, and I think that's just because we have players that are so good. We've got guys that are so good. We've got guys that are so physical. We've got guys that, they possess all the talent. So I think where you've got situations where you've got less numbers, less talent, less guys around, you've got to get the most out of it. And I feel like they get the most out of it, where it was us. It's just like, the guy doesn't perform, instead of coaching him up. I mean, there's Craven Week every year. There's going to be a new guy every year. I mean...
Yeah, you see, and that's the thing. I feel like that ruthlessness that we talking about, I feel like that's only developed through mastering the basics. Because once we master the basics, then you're able to unlock everything else. And really be able to put teams away. It's not like the Bulls had opportunities; they did. The Sharks had opportunities. But teams just failed to take them, because of the level of pressure that was coming through from a defensive perspective. Those guys in the North, what I've seen is that they fight. They really fight like mad dogs, defensively. But equally impressive is how they retain their own ball. That's for me. This is one of the key things that just sticks out for me. I was just like, look, we have a long way to go. The error rate is not so high for those teams, So yeah, man, it's not all doom and gloom, but it's still a long way to go. Really, I think just as a rugby nation, I've said it before. For me, it's just I feel like we have a long way to go as a rugby nation. We should be able to go anywhere in the world with our teams, not just the national team, but with our teams. And you'd expect that 80% of the time. Our teams come out victorious, and it's not the case now. And like you say, I feel like there's a lot of cutting corners, from a coaching perspective, where you feel you can overlook certain things because of other attributes. But in
what world would you think we're going to Italy and we're going to lose? You know,
you see.
in what world? In what world? I mean,
You see.
Especially a few years ago, when you think about club rugby in South Africa and you think, oh, we're gonna go to Italy and lose, it's a joke. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it really only can get better from here. So I mean, I guess there's much room for improvement. Looking forward to the Boks this weekend. I am optimistic. I'm optimistic. I think Bok win. I'm going Bok win. I'll give them 5. I'll give them an Nkosi try.
Yeah, hey, Curtis, look, you're a brave man, you know. I'm being honest. You're a brave man, because my question is, will they be able to do what they do, get up again, you know, for a second weekend in a row with really, there's nothing but pride to play for, you know. It is a big game against New Zealand, but at the same time, as much as, you know, it's a big game for us, it's also a big game for them, and they would have, you know, learned a lot, and the experience, I think, for their players, a lot of their players, the experience of playing against us, you know, week 1, now they're getting a second bite. They are going to come back better, you know. I think we definitely, it's going to be a different kind of test match for us. I don't know. I'm not certain. I'm not certain. I'm not ruling out the possibility that we can win, you know, because on the evidence from this past weekend is we do have the capability. We've always known that we have the capability, but at the same time, on the evidence of this past weekend, do we have the knockout punch? That's my question. If we can produce a knockout punch, then I'll be happy. And I'm not gonna call a result, but I'm just saying that it's gonna be a difficult one.
Take it to Bedway, Bok win. Dummy Swish Pod, we're out.
Yes.